what is the significance? What is the importance? What the Mount of Olives? What's the whole deal there, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to go too far into this, but to understand the Mount of Olives, you have to understand also Jerusalem a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll do a deep dive on this in a later episode. But Jerusalem was a city founded, or let's say taken by David. Okay, so early on in the development of early Israel, sort of Joshua time, they're seizing. You have this proportioning of the land into different tribal areas, and Jerusalem was supposed to belong to the tribe of Benjamin, but they could never conquer it. There were people there called the Jebusites. The Jebusites were tough, and Jerusalem is in a really, really difficult place to besiege or attack. It's really, really rugged, rough, steep terrain approaching the city, and they can never take it. So earlier on in Israel's history, you have Shiloh as a capital. Under Saul, you have Gibeah as a capital. But David wants to be a national king, and he knows if he places his capital in, let's say somewhere in Judah, in Bethlehem or Hebron, then the rest of Israel will think, oh, you're just a homer. You're taking all the money for your tribe. Mm-hmm. And so he wants to do something different. And he captures, the Bible talks about how he takes the city of Jerusalem by sneaking some men into the water shaft. May talk about that later, but not on this one. But by subterfuge, conquers, takes Jerusalem, and sets it up as his capital. Well, Jerusalem is actually exactly on the border of Judah and Benjamin, but it had never been owned by either. And so what he does is he creates almost like a Washington, D.C. sort of situation where you have this sort of extraterritorial capital, which can be a true national capital now. So he sets that up. And something else you have to know about Jerusalem is that it's on a hill, but actually all the surrounding hills are higher. Okay? So we talked about this a little bit in the previous episode also. So Jerusalem sits primarily on biblically what we call Mount Moriah. Mm-hmm. To the east is the Mount of Olives. To the west is what we now call Mount Zion. To the south is a mountain called the Mount of Evil Counsel. And to the north is a mountain called Mount Scopus, which is really just a dogleg off of the Mount of Olives. So it's surrounded by actually higher hills. So when you're in Jerusalem, you're kind of like in a bowl in a way, even though you're on a hill, because the surrounding hills are higher, right? And that setup is the capital. And when you're looking out from Jerusalem, the highest thing is the Mount of Olives to the east. And so what happens throughout Scripture is that people go up on the Mount of Olives to look down at Jerusalem and kind of reflect on it, think about it, talk about it. The first time the Mount of Olives is mentioned in Scripture is actually when David is fleeing Jerusalem. When Absalom's rebellion takes place, he's fleeing. It says that he goes across the Kidron Valley, goes up on the Mount of Olives, looks back at Jerusalem and weeps and cries. Well, that's definitely foreshadowing, right? Yeah. Because, you have David, who's the ancestor of Jesus, who founds the line. Jesus is the head of the lineage of David, the Messiah. But you have his ancestor sort of mirroring, in a way, what Jesus would later do when he looks back on the city and weeps and says, I would have gathered you like hens, but you wouldn't have it. So now this is all going to happen. So the Mount of Olives is this place where throughout, the Bible, once Jerusalem is established, you have coming and going, and it's a place where you can kind of look down the city and ponder, think about it. It just sort of makes sense to do that from there, right? Yeah. I mean, even to this day, every single tour bus that ever goes to Israel at some point parks on top of the Mount of Olives, and you all get out, you look at the city, and you get sort of the description, oh, this is that. It just makes sense to do that there. Right. Okay? So it's that. But there's something else with the Mount of Olives, which is that it is intimately associated with the Messiah. Through, going back into Old Testament prophecy, you have this statement about on the day of the Lord, he'll set foot on the Mount of Olives, it will break in two. So on the, this prophecy, and that when he comes back, that he'll step foot on the mountain, and the mountain will break, and then later Jesus ascends from the Mount of Olives, he comes back to the Mount of Olives, and he says, I'll come back to the same place, which, okay, so he sort of reinforces, it seems, that prophecy that he'll come back to the same mountain. And you have him, the triumphal entry is there. He cries there. Like it just seems that he sends from there. He will come back there. So the Mount of Olives is really, really wrapped up in the identity, of the Messiah. It's foretold that when he comes back, that he'll come to the Mount of Olives and then go across the Kidron Valley and enter Jerusalem from the Eastern Gate. So all of these sort of prophetic, messianic, sort of mystical things sort of surround that hill. Hey guys, if you like our content, please click like and subscribe. That really helps us out a lot. And then also go to thelandinthebible.com and subscribe for premium content. If you go over there, we've got tons of stuff that's really great. We have print materials that you can download. We have PDF study guides for all of our lessons. We've got devotional materials over there. We also have every single video and podcast we've done in full-length format with no ad interruptions and full video. So you can get all of that on thelandinthebible.com with the premium subscription, and that really helps us. It helps us generate more content, and also half of it goes to help us go overseas and help refugee kids, is what we're really called to do.